One of the most important things that most traders struggle with is to actually be able to manage your current positions correctly. Of course, it's important to know how and when you need to enter a trade, but what's most important is how you need to manage your position once you're already in. So currently I have 10 open swing trading positions, and I'll show you exactly how I manage each one of them. I'll show you exactly when I trim my positions, when I move my stop loss, and how I stay disciplined when the trade is open. Alright, so like I said, I have 10 open positions as of right now. Rocket Lab is the most recent one of them. I entered it yesterday at the time I'm filming this video. To make it as simple and visual as possible for you guys, I put this long position on each one of my positions to show you exactly where my stop loss is, my entry is. The only thing that won't be accurate in these charts is the price target, and I'll explain to you guys exactly why in a couple of seconds. Alright, so this one I entered it yesterday. The overall strategy is extremely simple. It broke out yesterday. I entered it right when it confirmed. So in these type of breakouts, most of the time I don't have a specific price target. What I mean is, depending on how strong the move is, I'll likely just wait between 2 and 5 days to trim my position. I always try to trim as late as possible in the day because most of the time this is where these type of stocks are at their highest points. So for Rocket Lab, I'll just wait a couple more days. And when I will trim my position, I likely trim between 20 and 40% of my position, and I move my stop loss at break even. Same thing for MVST. This one I didn't enter when it broke out right away because this day the big candle was actually its earnings. So I waited until after earnings to enter the position. It confirmed, so I'm now fully in this position. I'll still own my full position in this trade. I will likely trim maybe today or tomorrow if it closes strong, and obviously move my stop loss at break even at the same time. ACHR, this one I trimmed yesterday, which was on day 2. I think I trimmed 20% of my position right before market close, which was almost at the high of the day. And when you'll see all green and no red in this little chart, that's because my stop loss is at break even. Sound, this one was a bit different. I noticed that right here it had a sort of resistance to fill the gap, so I put an alert at this point, and when it crossed, I trimmed my position. And now I move my stop loss at break even, so I'm risk free, and we ride the rest of the position. EOIC, same thing. I just waited a couple of days. I trimmed, I think, right here between these 2 days, and I moved my stop loss at break even. So it didn't stop me out because even though it went under my stop loss, I just, like, my stop loss was right here before, so when I trim right here I moved it up, and that's why I'm still in this position. QBT, this one I think I trimmed like this big gap day, and earnings are actually tonight, so I will sell the rest of my position before market closes today because I don't want to risk holding these sort of positions through earnings. At this point, you guys probably start to understand how I'm managing these positions, but I have 3 positions left, so I'll show them to you guys, and after that I'll show you what I do after my first trim. So QBTS, risk free, this one I trimmed. At the same time I trimmed QBT. PRCH, same thing. This one is actually setting up for another move, so I hope it will break out again, but we'll see. And Pony, same thing. One thing you guys probably didn't see is that my most recent positions are up top and my oldest positions are at the bottom. So I do this in order to manage them correctly, first of all, but I also do this because after I trim my position for the first time, I only have one more thing left to do, and it is to manually trail my stop loss using the 10 SMA. So in my charts, the 10 SMA is the purple line, which is this one right here. It's the one that moves the fastest and it follows the stock as close as possible. And what I mean when I say I trail my stop loss using this moving average is that on the daily chart, and it is really important that you stay on the daily chart using this strategy. So I will just sell the rest of my position when it closes under the 10 SMA on the daily chart. So every day I have a timer like 5 minutes before market closes, and when it rings I just go over all of my positions, and if I see that one or some of them will close or are likely to close under the 10 SMA on the daily chart, I just sell them completely. Oh, and by the way guys, I completely forgot, but I also have this LTBR position. Anyway, a good example I can show you guys so you can see it for your eyes is MSTR. So if you saw one of my last videos, I actually show you guys how I entered this trade, this MSTR trade right here. This one I sold it around here because it had earnings, but let's say it didn't have earnings and that I will still be in this position. All right, so in this case, let's say I bought MSTR right here, I trimmed around here, and I hold because it did not close under the 10 SMA on the daily chart. Well, look at today. It is an hour and a half before market closes, and it is actually under the 10 SMA. It still have time obviously to bounce and to go above the 10 SMA, but let's say when my alert rings at 3:55, 5 minutes before market closes, it's at exactly the same price, and it looks like it will close under the 10 SMA. I will just exit the full position. An example on one of my current positions, let's say Pony just drops right here, like in the next hour and a half, I will sell it completely before market closes. But if it goes under, like in a couple of days, and it bounces and it never closes under the 10 SMA, I will not sell the position. My strategy is extremely simple, guys. So I enter when there is a breakout, I put my stop loss at the low of the day in which I entered the position. 2 to 5 days later, I trim between 20 and 40% of my position depending on how strong it is. And I always try to trim as late as possible in the day. When I trim my position, I put my stop loss at break even. And by the way, break even is your average price or your entry price for the position. And after I trim, I look at the daily chart, I follow my position, and when it closes under the 10 SMA on the daily chart, I sell the rest of it. Sometimes these positions last maybe a week, and sometimes they last over a couple of months. So here's a good example of how strong this strategy is. You enter on the first breakout right here, you put your stop loss at the low of the day, you wait a couple of days and you trim your position for, let's say, around 6%. Then you move your stop loss to break even, so if it goes below that, it will simply sell the rest of your position at no loss. And then you trail your position using the 10 SMA. So you wait right here, it goes up a lot. It never, like right here, it did go a bit under the 10 SMA, but it never closed under, right? So you wait, it goes up, like this one is extremely high, right? And it reversed, and on this exact small day right here, it closed for the first time under the 10 SMA. So in this exact example, you would have made around 43% profit. And what's good with this exit strategy is that, yes, you don't actually snipe the full top of the move, because I'm going to be honest, that's probably impossible to do. But what you end up doing most of the time after you exit is saving yourself from a bigger loss. And in this exact example, Nvidia dropped 28% in 45 days right after we exit the position. Obviously, if you guys haven't seen my full and detailed strategy video, I suggest you do so, because it goes along with this one. So that's exactly how I manage every trade I take. I have a clear plan. I cut my positions into strength. I move my stop loss at break even, and I manually sell the rest of my position when it closes under the 10 SMA. If you want to trade with me and see some of my alerts in real time, the Discord will be linked below. I also teach this exact strategy step by step and 3 others in my mentorship program. But even if you're trading on your own, having a plan is everything when it comes to trading. So as always, guys, lock in, stay disciplined, and I'll see you in the next one.